Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Friday, June 6th, 2025. Today we have a double barrel enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms over portions of the central and southern plains. We also have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for three main areas. One is part of the severe weather risk today, portions of the south central plains. We also have a slight risk of excessive rainfall throughout the mid-Mississippi River Valley into the Tennessee Valley. We also have a slight risk up here in New England for much of Massachusetts and adjacent areas. In terms of temperatures, heat begins to build again in southern Texas through the southern Mississippi River Valley, as well as the interior west over here. Otherwise, we have a continued presence of below or near average temperatures for much of the U.S. east of the Rockies, with above average temperatures for the west of the Rockies. If you would like, in the description, I always have the text versions of the weather briefings down below. Currently on satellite, we have an ongoing mesoscale convective system churning away in the central United States. This is expected to deplete a little bit as it gets into portions of Arkansas and the River Valley, because we have a depletion of those mechanisms that cause long-term MCSs, such as the low-level jet, but that will reinvigorate as we get that diurnal heating over here in the southeast, the mid-south to southeast. Otherwise, pretty quiet across the United States today in terms of satellite. We will see a disturbance bringing some showers and thunderstorms into the northeast today, as well as some cloudy conditions over here in the Pacific Northwest. So yesterday, we got upgraded to an enhanced risk during the weather briefing, and along with that, we got upgraded into a 10-hatched tornado risk around the Lubbock region, which was a good call because there was a brief yet strong tornado, or should I say brief yet strong tornadoes, around this one supercell that churned its way towards Lubbock. Luckily, it mainly hit sparsely populated areas, but yes, we did have a pretty strong yet transient tornado over here, as well as some weaker tornadoes in and around these areas. We do have that MCS making its way east, which has sparked a few tornado warnings in areas such as eastern Oklahoma, but again, that is supposed to weaken a little bit as we get across the day and then reinvigorate across the southeast as we get diurnal heating. Here is our drought monitor. The solid lines demarcate the areas of greatest concern with drought. Here's our current watches and warnings. Pretty messy across the MCS region, understandable since you have a mix of flood watches, flash flood warnings, as well as severe thunderstorm warnings and severe thunderstorm watches. So generally, this area is someplace to watch this morning. Still some lingering air quality alerts associated with some wildfire smoke, but that is mostly depleted by now. The air quality should be much better, at least at the surface, for the Midwestern U.S. Some flood watches over here in the Northeast associated with that excessive rainfall outlook today. Here's our current surface map. We have a stalling front over here that's just sitting still and causing some additional support for those MCSs that will move on to the east. We do have a surface trough over here. Some bursts of the subtropical jet should give us some additional severe thunderstorm development along that dry line today, associated with that double barrel enhanced risk, and that will, of course, grow upscale into another MCS that will make its way eastward across the mid-south to the mid-Mississippi River Valley. Day 2, largely the same. We do have a low-level response that will lift the front a little bit northward, but still will stall around the same areas where the MCS will move on to the east, which is mainly what this severe risk is for. But we also do have additional severe thunderstorm development expected along the Red River Valley associated with this cold front. So here's our excessive rainfall forecast. Today we have a bunch of slight risks over here. one of which is here associated with our main severe weather risk from portions of the central to southern plains. We do expect 2 inches or above amounts for this one, and as well as 2 inches or above amounts for this area right here around the central Mississippi River Valley towards the mid-south regions, and also a small slight risk associated with some showers and thunderstorms up here in the northeast. We do expect totals a bit higher up here, maybe up to 3 inches up in this region. Day 2 tomorrow, we have another slight risk from eastern Oklahoma to portions of the Tennessee River Valley to the southeast. We do expect 2 inches or higher amounts for these areas as well. Day 3 Sunday, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall along the Red River Valley. And day 4 and day 5, broad marginal risks for both the southern plains into the southeast, and as well on day 5 Tuesday, we have a marginal risk across portions of the northeast. Here is our day 1 convective outlook. I honestly had to do a double take. I thought this was the exact same outlook as yesterday, and it pretty much is. Very similar setup to today, and compared to yesterday, primary hazard will be significantly large hail, possibly giant hail, especially areas such as Lubbock, Texas, Clovis, New Mexico, Plainview, Liberal, Kansas, Hereford, Texas. Wind and tornadoes will also be a threat associated with this. The wind threat will mainly be more widespread with eastern extent, but with western extent, supercells can also drop some pretty damaging winds. Tornado threat 5% over here. Cities such as Lubbock, Amarillo, Pueblo, Colorado, Clovis, New Mexico, Hobbs, New Mexico, you are in that 5% tornado risk today. And as we saw with yesterday, one supercell that happens to go into just the right conditions can cause a pretty significant tornado. But we do not expect any long track tornadoes, of course, but the tornadoes can and possibly will get strong. Tomorrow, slight risk mainly associated with the MCS that's going towards that is going to form tonight and overnight into these eastern extent regions. We also have some storms possibly forming with western extent later on into the afternoon. The primary hazards is, of course, wind and hail. Hail more so associated with those supercells that's going to form in the afternoon, and wind mainly associated with that MCS that's going to form tonight and move into the eastern extent overnight. Tornado risk pretty low tomorrow. On day 3 Sunday, we already have an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms for areas such as Lubbock, Amarillo, Wichita Falls, Plainview, Texas, and Altus, Oklahoma. This is primarily associated with a giant hail risk. We're already pretty confident that we're going to see some very large hail in these regions. Also, a damaging wind risk over here in this region. We also have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms across the eastern coastal plain into the adjacent Piedmont region, mainly for damaging winds and possible large hail. Day 4, we have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms over portions of the lower Mississippi River Valley into the southeast. This includes cities such as Birmingham, Baton Rouge, Montgomery, Shreveport, Mobile. This is primarily for, again, another overnight MCS that we expect at the end of day 3, moving into day 4, Monday. So primarily damaging winds, possibly some scattered large hail around these regions. Looking at our heat risk, heat is already starting to build over here in the southern United States, and heat is also starting to build in portions of the interior west. These two regions are expected to increase in heat through the weekend into early next week, peaking at around Sunday and Monday, where we'll see temperatures around 100 degrees, possibly in the mid 90s with eastern extent, but with areas such as southern Texas possibly reaching around 100 degrees, of course, with the humidity expected being near the Gulf Coast. But we also see a heat risk over here in the interior west, which will peak at Monday. Areas such as southeastern Washington and northeastern Oregon may see temperatures blasting through the records over here with temperatures well above 20 degrees above average over in these regions by Monday. Heat will continue in areas such as the southern basin by Tuesday, but heat elsewhere will slowly deplete by early next week, and by midweek, heat largely depletes across these regions by midweek. Here is our extended range hazards outlook. Of course, we have those excessive heat regions over here in the interior west, particularly the interior northwest, and also the southern basin, as well as the southern Texas regions. We also have heavy rainfall for these regions over here in the southern plains to the southeast, as well as the severe thunderstorm outlooks that we saw in the extended range or the medium range over here. We also have a high wind risk over here in the northern plains. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, June 11th through June 15th. Near normal for the southern to central United States, above average for the northern plains into the northern Rockies, as well as the northeast. Below average temperatures for the Pacific coast of the northwest. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, near normal to above average for much of the United States, especially the southern Gulf Coast. Below average a little bit for the northeast. Finally, looking at our timing of severe storms for tonight, we do have that ongoing MCS right now that's making its way through the Arkansas region, the Arklatex Arkansas region, and we do expect a reinvigoration of convection or a initiation of convection along that dry line around 3 to 4 p.m. in the Texas regions down here and the enhanced risk up here in southeastern Colorado into Kansas. I will continue moving on towards the east and grow upscale into yet another, possibly another mesoscale convective system that will make its way to the southeast. Now, don't take these at face value. We do expect reinvigoration of convection along this mesoscale convective system that will persist into the southeast by this afternoon, as well as another MCS that will possibly make its way towards the southeast overnight tonight. So convective allowing models are depleting this convection pretty easily, but we do expect these systems to continue off for a bit longer than is progged here. So that is going to be it for today's weather briefing. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to keep up with the weather briefings. And also, if you have any constructive criticism, please leave it in the comments below. And as always, if you want any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service or broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.